Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another lecture of the Opto Intelligence channel. We're going to continue today with some visualization in Plotly. We've been covering Seaborn in the past five lectures. And if you haven't seen those videos, please go back to the last five videos on Seaborn before proceeding with today's lecture. My name is hoss.belyadi, and let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and start by importing some new libraries. Let's just say import pandas as PD again. We've done that before. We're going to import plotly.express as px. Now, Plotly is the difference between Plotly and, for example, Seaborn. Plotly is an interactive visualization package in Python that is very powerful. You can use Plotly to really create some nice visualization, especially for presentation purposes. Like a lot of the plots that we've covered in Seaborn are really nice for presentation as well, but this is also, these are pretty nice visualization plots that also happen to be like interactive. Plotly is usually combined with Dash, which is another library in Python for creating dashboards. So in this lecture, we're going to cover just some of the fundamental plots in Plotly Express, and then maybe in future lectures I can talk about creating combining Plotly and creating some dashboards. And then the last step is basically deploying these dashboards on the cloud, and you can use anybody's cloud to deploy these dashboards for everybody's access. But for now, let's just focus on the fundamental core concepts behind Plotly, and you're going to see some of these visualization, how nice and interactive they're actually going to be. So let's get started. Let's just do percent. Let's also import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and let's do sns.setStyle, or sns.set, and then style is going to be equal to dark grid, and let's do color codes is equal to true. So with that, let's actually, it says SNS is not defined since we're importing matplotlib. We have to also import Seaborn. Import Seaborn as SNS. Here we go. Now it rains. So let's go ahead and do df is equal pd.read and do a CSV read here. And I'm going to do the same stuff, chapter 2 shale gas data set, which we've been using. And let's just, again, visualize the table here. You can see these are all the columns that we have in the table. Same stuff, same exact data set that we used. This is the same table that we've also used in the book. So with that, let's go ahead and create a header here called histogram and plots. And let's just make this a heading in this case. Hit OK and Shift Tab. And let's go ahead and say px dot. So if you recall, we defined this plotly.express as px. Okay, so let's go ahead and say px dot histogram, and inside of the parentheses, if you do Shift Tab, you can see here you can define your data frame, your X and Y, and so on and so forth. So let's just go ahead and say data frame is equal to df. My X is going to be, for example, well spacing. And then as far as color goes, let's just color it by the last column, which is the category. category. If I run this, here we go. Now I can see here, this is a Plotly visualization histogram. You can see if you actually hover over this data, it tells you inside of each bin how many counts you have. So it's pretty interactive, and you can actually zoom in, for example. You can hit this auto scale to zoom out. You can use these plus and minus signs. You can even download this plot, you know, as PNG, for example, and basically do a lot with it. And this is the beauty of using Plotly. You know, it's very interactive, and you can hover over the data and it shows you what's going on. And this is just the same distribution plot that we had. If you don't want to include it, for example, color coded by category, you can just remove that and it just shows you the histogram of what's going on. And basically, if you need to include more parameters, you can always do Shift Tab, and you can see a list of parameters that you can include here. There are a lot of things that we're going to cover throughout this lecture, so just bear with us, and we're going to go through that. So let's just add in the color for now and just go down. So the next one that I want to do, I also want to show that you can add the number of bins. You can define the number of bins. If you just copy and paste that code, you can come here and say the n bins, number of bins. You can do, for example, 20. If I do 20, you can, for example, do 10. So you can see it got a little bit, it changed like the binning on these plots. You can change this to, for example, 30 and play around with it. And this is just an option that it has, or you can just leave it as a default, or you can just go, for example, to 5. So it got much bigger now. So you can just play around with this and see what you'd like to do. But let's just leave it as, for example, 30 in this case, and then move on. So n bins, define the number of bins you want to have. There's another thing that I like about this Plotly here, especially with these histograms that I typically use, is it has a pattern shape. So if I do, for example, a pattern, I can remove this n bins for now and just do pattern shape. And I want to shape the pattern by category, for example, category. And see, it looks it shaded this category, you know, the vintage stuff in a pattern shape, and it looks really nice. So you can use this pattern shape inside of parentheses to define that. Okay, so that's that. And then also you can also do add a box plot on top of this histogram, actually. So what you can do is you can copy and paste this again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to, again, have well spacing. And I'm just going to remove the color and all that for now, and just start with, I can add an argument called marginal, and inside of marginal, I can define box. Okay, you run this, and here we go. Here's the distribution plot, and here's your box plot. And if you hover over each one, you can see it shows you the you know, Q1, Q2, min and max, and the outliers, like what we did, you know, what we discussed in the past. So you can see, you know, the histogram and the box plot all in one plot, which is pretty nice. And as I said, this is all like interactive. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can save the picture. You can do auto scale. It's pretty powerful stuff here. And this is what, since the visualization it looks so nice, this is why these visualizations are actually the primary visualizations when it comes to creating dashboards, and when combining Plotly and Dash. It is beyond the scope of this lecture. Maybe in one of the future videos I'll cover that. So now let's add this and do just do, again, well spacing, and I'm going to keep marginal as box, and I'm going to add a color, in this case, color, and I'm going to color it by category. And here we go. So you can see here the new design and vintage, and you have the box plot for each one. and a distribution plot for each one. Again, one line of code, and it generated this beautiful plot with one line of code. So pretty powerful stuff here, pretty powerful stuff. And you can also change this box, this marginal from box. If you actually go down here, let's see. So just do a Control F and type in marginal. So marginal, you can define different marginal in there. You can do violin, you can do rug. For example, if I change this to violin, here we go. You added the violin plot as opposed to box plot. Or if you want to change it to rug, you can change it to rug, you know. But I like the box plot myself. It just shows the median, Q1, Q2, some of the outliers, which you can actually see pretty well why some of these are considered the outliers, because they're not many data points, and it's just beyond the min max that we defined in the past in previous lectures. So yeah, so these are some of the optionalities that you have. These are all within the you know, this library called you know, Plotly, like Plotly Express. If you don't have it installed, if you have like for example the Anaconda package installed on your machine, you'd have to go on your command prompt and do a pip install Plotly and install the Plotly library before being able to utilize it. So if you get an error when you run this code, you just have to do a pip install Plotly in your command prompt. Forgot to mention that when we started. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do a box plot. Let's just define box plot, capitalize it, and I'm going to do a heading here. And let's just do box plot and do a shift tab. And so again, box plot, pretty simple, px.box, simple as that. And just type in data frame is equal to df. And what do I want to plot as the box plot? My x is going to be well spacing. Again, I'm just picking a random parameter here as we go. Haven't really dug too deep into the data, but I'm just trying to show you the visualization here. And you can see here's the box plot. You can always hover over it and it shows you the exact points, which is pretty nice. And again, that's the advantage of using Plotly as compared to Seaborn, which is not, you know, interactive like Plotly. And then I also like to, let's just copy and paste what we have here. And let's just, you know, plot these box plots by category. So I'm going to have X is equal to category. Okay, and I'm going to have Y is equal to well spacing, for example, in this case. And I'm going to have, let's do points. Points is equal to all. And what this is going to do, it's going to show vintage versus new design. It's going to show, you know, the box plot for each category. And these points show pretty much all the data points that we have, which is pretty nice to see. So this is another way of having a box plot shown for visualization purposes. And also one thing you can do, actually, you can copy and paste this guy here. Let's go down and let's also add color. Color is equal to category, okay? And let's run that. Look at that. Now you have, it looks much nicer. You got the new design in blue and vintage in red. So this is another way of visualizing the data. So this is it for this lecture. We'll continue on with more plots, more exciting plots in the next lecture. If you enjoyed this lecture, hit the like and share and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next.